inside the classroom and outside the classroom, every type of education worker, certificated as well as classified, all throughout the state, public and private sector. Today, we are here to talk about AB 477. This bill would raise LCFF funding, that's the local control funding formula, for K-12, TK-12 schools by 50% over 10 years. This is a much needed resource for our schools, for our educators, and for our students. Today we're going to have a couple members speak. We're going to have the Assembly member speak about why this is important to the state, why it's important to the students, and why it's important to the education workers in the state of California. So I will come back and talk about some of the details, but before I do, let's hear why it's important to our educators. And first, I would like to call up Grace Cosentino,
yes.
middle school teacher from Novato Unified School District. Can you please give us your experience?
Yes. Good morning. My name is Grace Cosentino, and I've been a science teacher for 10 years at San Jose Middle School in Novato. I love my job as a science teacher. I got into education because I love being of service. The first time I volunteered to work with middle school students, I was captivated by their curiosity, quirkiness, and a drive to make the world a better place. Over the 10 years, I've had the opportunity to watch past students go out in the world of STEM and STEAM. I got to be a part of their journey to think critically about the world and find a better path forward for our future. Every year, past students come back to visit to share what they are doing now and how my class has helped them. I have students who are working in the medical field, engineers, musicians, environmental scientists and lawyers, police officers, firefighters, and community activists. I want future educators to have this feeling and create this change, but they cannot do this without longevity in the profession. With Assembly Bill 477, we can do that. We can ensure that with better pay, teachers will be able to stay in the profession. We will be able to inspire a new generation of teachers who will be there for the long haul for our students. My school is a Title I school. Economic inequality creates unnecessary burdens that I see my students and families face. I have students with IEPs, 504s, English language learners, and some with behavior plans, with my largest class being 33 students. It is a lot to take on professionally and mentally. Unfortunately, we see a turnover in education and class sizes so large that classroom management becomes a daily struggle, especially for new teachers who often don't have a team of more experienced teachers mentoring them. I wonder how any of us could learn under all these settings. People who go into education have a passion for education and ensuring all California students can access a high-quality education. Unfortunately, that passion does not pay the bills, rent, mortgage, groceries, gas. My commute every day is a total of 1 hour and 30 minutes. I would love to be able to live in the town that I work in, but I live in a separate county because the cost of living is so high. This is why teachers leave. The financial stress that educational staff experiences is unnecessary for what we are expected to do. If our current and future students are going to be able to tackle anything that is coming to us in our future, whether it be the effects of climate change, fire safety and response, or even the federal government abandoning our schools, then we need to start funding our schools through Assembly Bill 477. Thank you.
So you heard from a teacher about the expense, about being able to live in their community or not being able to live in their community because the inability to afford where they work, to live where they work. I also have that experience. I was a high school math teacher in Carpinteria. I lived in Santa Barbara. It wasn't that far of a commute. It wasn't an hour and a half, definitely. It was about 20 minutes. But there was no way, under the wages that I was making and the health care that I was paying for in that area, that I could afford even to a small, simple house in that area. As you know, it's one of the most expensive places in the state of California. And California is one of the most expensive places in the country. What I would like to do now is to bring up the Assembly member. Assemblymember Muratsuchi, thank you for authoring this bill, this important bill to fund our schools for our students, and to fund our schools for our educators. And before I bring him up here to talk specifically about the bill, to also say that we have recognized Assemblymember Muratsuchi as a CFT Legislator of the Year. So thank you for that, and thank you again for being our champion for funding our schools. Muratsuchi. You're welcome. Thank you.
Good to see you. All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Al Muratsuchi, Assembly member from the Los Angeles area, and I'm proud to stand with our teachers and our classified education workers to introduce Assembly Bill 477 to increase school funding statewide and to give teachers and classified workers a 50% pay raise over the next 10 years. We know that the Trump administration is attacking public education. He is attempting to dismantle public education and defund our schools. California must fight back to defend public education. California is the world's 5th largest economy. We need to aspire and to step up to invest in our students in our schools, to support student success, to make sure that all can thrive. Today, unfortunately, more and more teachers and staff can't afford to live in the communities that they work in. For teachers, in particular, there is a growing pay gap. A 2023 Economic Policy Institute study found a record over 26% pay gap with other college graduates. A dramatic increase from 1996, when the pay gap was a little more than 6%. In countries with world-class public education systems like Finland and Singapore, teacher salaries are competitive with those that we see for engineers and in the business sector. We need more young people to aspire to become teachers. Yet, nearly 2/3 of our young adults cite low pay as the biggest reason why they are not interested in entering the teaching profession. That is why I'm joining teachers, classified workers, to introduce Assembly Bill 477, the Fair Pay for the Education Workforce Act. This bill proposes state funding targets to increase school funding statewide and to increase teacher and classified salaries by 50% over the next 10 years. Our teachers and our essential school staff have been underpaid for far too long. It is time for California to start paying its teachers and its education workforce a fair wage. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Thank you for being the author, again, on this bill, this important bill for our education system, for the workers of California, for the workers of our public schools, and for the students to be able to provide proper education for all of our students, and adequate education. My experience for all education workers, my grandmother was a cafeteria worker. My aunt was an administrative assistant to the principal. My sister-in-law was also a classified employee at the school district in which I grew up in. They are classified are a part and integral to how we need to provide an education for our students. So this bill covers all education workers. So now I would like to bring up Danelle Montesano, a paraprofessional from Galt Union School District, just down the road here from Sacramento.
Good morning. Happy day, everyone. My name is Danelle Montesano, and I'm a longtime professional and classified worker from Galt, California, and the surrounding areas. I currently serve as the attendance clerk at a high school in Galt Joint Union School District. I am here to urge you today to urge California lawmakers to vote yes on AB 477, a lifeline for our schools and the dedicated teachers and staff among them. I have been a paraprofessional in Galt and the surrounding areas for nearly 15 years. Much of that time was spent working in special education. I love my job. I love being able to support our students and give them the things that they need, especially the students with IEPs. I also served as a case manager for migrant ed, and I also served as a bilingual paraprofessional. Now I'm the attendance clerk, and I pride myself in giving them access to the education that they deserve. But unfortunately, low pay and high turnover in schools now threaten the quality of education we can offer our students, especially the most vulnerable. This year, at the beginning of the year, we were down 12 paraprofessionals, and it took months, almost half the year, for us to get our staffing up to full capacity. And it's not difficult to tell why this is so hard. Starting paraprofessional pay in my district is $18.63 an hour, while down the street at McDonald's, the starting pay is over $20 an hour. So let that sink in for a minute. You can make more money down the street at McDonald's working fast food than you can helping in education and supporting our students. The system is broken, and this isn't correct. This needs to be fixed. I get by driving an old 2004 car, and I take on extra shifts at the local Target to make ends meet. Some of us in the school system live paycheck to paycheck, but this doesn't work for everyone. I'm afraid this isn't enough for everybody, and our schools are suffering from a constant turnover and staffing issues. And without more funding, schools, and better pay for our educators and classified workers, it is our students and their futures that will suffer. So please support AB 477. It would mean the world to me, my colleagues, and most of all, our students. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
So we've heard from two educators, two workers in the public education world. We've heard from the author of this bill how important it is for us to continue. Let's hear about some stats. Every year, the Economic Policy Institute calculates the gap between, and right now we're going to focus on teacher pay and the pay to people who have a similar college education background. In 2023, the teacher pay penalty in California hit an all-time record high of 20%. There's a 20% gap, or call it a teacher tax if you'd like, that is separating people with similar education background. Teachers have bachelors, they have masters, they have PhDs, and they are falling way behind their peers who work in other industries. The state needs to invest and put where their values are, and education we know is a value. CFT polled in 2023, 58% of CFT members, all CFT members who work in K-12 schools, and this is teachers and classified, think about quitting their job and leaving education. 58%, over half. 94% believe their work is important though. There's a discrepancy. They know and they feel that it is so important to work in public education, but they are struggling so much that they feel like quitting every day. 50% rate the overall situation at their jobs negatively. 70% reported staffing shortages of their workplace. Why are we having staffing shortages? Why are we having fewer people entering the education field? Why is it hard to fill these roles? Sometimes school districts want to fill these classified roles, but they can't find people to apply for those, or the teacher positions or the counseling positions. Those jobs go unfilled, or they hire at the last minute. People are not being encouraged to come into this role of public education because we are not providing a professional pay and professional health care for all of them. This bill can correct that. This bill can make sure that we are providing the educators in our schools to provide that education for the students. With the cuts coming, like Title I, and you just heard from two Title I schools, billions of dollars are also on the line from the Trump administration. the elimination of the Department of Education, with Title I, possibly IDEA, which is for special ed students. We need to step up. The state needs to step up. Assemblymember Muratsuchi has stepped up. We're asking everybody out there, we're asking for every legislator to step up, to fund our schools, to provide professional pay, to respect our educators in our schools, and to respect the students that we're teaching. With that, I want to thank everybody, but if there are any questions from press for anybody that spoke.
There have been several bills introduced in prior years trying to do increases to pay and formula. Can you walk through why those bills failed and sort of what makes this different this year? The funding cuts add especially, emphasis on getting this through?
You want to speak to that?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, so as you may know, this is a reintroduction of a measure that we first introduced in 2023. But the need is so much more urgent now, as we have been talking about the Trump administration attacking public education, threatening to defund our schools, especially programs for our most vulnerable students. And so while in the past, we have had tough discussions with the governor's office about the need to set these aspirational funding targets so that we can give hope to all of our teachers and our classified workers that while public education is under attack, that California is going to step up and set these aspirational funding targets so that we can work toward, just like we did in 2013 when we first established funding targets. We are trying to do the same thing now. Recognizing that our budget is a statement of our values. We know that we're going to be facing challenging budget discussions going forward. But I think Californians overall, will agree that public education should be our number one budget priority, and that closing the pay gap for our teachers and our education workers, should be our number one priority.
Any other questions? I can tell you that there are organizations that will be supporting this. We're introducing this today. We're going to move forward. As you saw, as was spoken last year, overwhelmingly support from both parties to move it forward. We expect that to happen again. They know the value of what this means. And as we had some tough negotiations last time, we're going to put our head down and barrel forward this year and make sure that this gets through both houses and gets to the governor's desk. And that's our promise. With that, thank you everybody. Thank you speakers. Thank you Assembly members so much for this. That concludes our press event.